Hello and welcome, Star Wars Ashes, episode 20, nearing the end of the saltiest season ever. I am your host, as always, Emperor Zelkry, and we have the last two survivors of our game, because everybody else is left. We still have good old Morik here playing Kato Wam and Crazy Maniac for Nard Siddig, ever lovable. And so we will summarize last episode, which had a fair bit go on in it. So we jumped in with the crew arriving at Narakaga. They had decided that they were going to have a chat with Hood about Lissy, and Mason wanted to chat with him about some stuff. So they make the call. They find out he's under fire, literally. And they are going to come in for the valiant White Knighting rescue, as our heroes tend to do. They left the Poo-doo up in the dock. They managed to find some space. Lucky for them. And they ended up taking basically a nosedive to the planet because Mason. And we got the great scene of the Remembrance basically burning atmosphere down into the area over the bat, like basically what would turn into that docked warehouse that turned into a battlefield. The Remembrance came swooping in, more or less saved the day. Well, pretty much saved the day. Like they shot and eventually wrecked up the armored like SUV style speeders on the outside. Eventually, actually, basically sniped the leader, huddled behind like a trailer container type object. So Nard got sharpshooter basically on that, although it was mostly a spray and pray tactic, I'm sure. All skill though. And uh, Kato and Lissy basically bailed out the back, or near the back of the warehouse. The ship came in low, and they managed to jump off into the dock. Kind of Lissy fell in the water because she's too ambitious for her own good. Imagine where she got that from. And they end up reinforcing them. The madness eventually ended up being over. The gang members all retreated, and they ended up being able to have a good chat with Hood. Apparently, they had been on the run for a number of days and weeks, constantly being hunted by either actually directly hired groups hired by the Hutts, or just gangs kind of doing it ambitiously to get the rep from it, and had been going after Hood and all the orphans and lone wolves and isolated individuals like that are all special in the ways of the Force. And because of the story and the situation that had been told by Hood, it compelled Mason to feel like he needs to stay, that he has a cause more important than the rest of the crew of the Remembrance. And he made the offer and was accepted to be the helpful gun, because Mason, we know how good Mason is with his equipment. So we started packing his things. We started getting a sense of saying goodbyes. Hood and Kato then ended up having a bit of a chat while Mason started packing up his things about Lissy. And the news probably wasn't quite probably what Kato wanted. Because he was probably pretty sure he was going to offload Lissy with Mason to Hood. Instead, so that he could teach her, or whatever maybe. And so things kind of got really flipped on its head, because he didn't expect Mason to leave and then expect Hood to offer, suggest that the best way to go about Lissy is to keep her around and provide guidance, because he's basically going to be stretched too thin between all the orphans, and because he's basically now the leader of this group. So spreading himself thin between that group and trying to help Mason wouldn't work good for Lissy. She'd basically be the third wheel of priorities, or fourth, fifth, somewhere down the line, and he wouldn't have the effort to do it. So he said to Kato that it's like, you gotta step up and at least be guidance or a deterring force of anything really awful, and just you gotta be there. And that went over about as well as you'd expect. Yeah. But he at least took the advice. They relocated all the orphans to the other side of this very large city, because this planet is not a city world, but it has a significant size city. Basically, I think we said the city was basically the size of America. So they basically moved them from the East Coast to the West Coast and found a car park under like an abandoned or otherwise damaged office building. So it'd be like the first floor level in the ground basically, and they could establish and set up there. Mason brought like the light repeating blaster with him and like the tripod that he had with it, and his amenities, his alcohol, and gave us the grand reveal about what was in the box, which was his wife, or her ash remains of her. And we got all the story of what his purpose was, why he was doing things, what all everything that was is what it is. And he got to say goodbye. They got to have that great moment of honesty and genuineness and everything. And he stayed behind, and we saw the remembrance and return back to space. They managed. We never really determined what the setup was with the Poo-doo, but it doesn't really matter. We're not going to focus in on that. And the two ships went to hyperspace, and that was the end of the last session. That's where we leave off today. I think that was probably the quickest recap I've probably done. So, first of all, can you guys let me clear the dice pool so you guys can roll some destinies? So just a second here. I forgot that thing again. Just a sec. Remember that thing we talked about the other day? Come on, load. And then we need to go back to here. Settings. And I might have to reload. Son of a bitch. That sucks. All right, just give me a sec. Basically, some Roll20 in all its refinement. Seems to change how the subscription thing works, and I can't have it automated to charge every month. Yeah, that thing. So it ran out, and I forgot to renew it before the session. So just a second. It should be almost be back. I just had to plug in some. No, we're good. We good. Roll your destiny. Let's see. Let's see what you guys probably won't need a whole lot this session. Good old light side right off the bat. Tons of light side. All right. You guys are swimming in it. Perfect. All right. We're good. Sorry about that. So, we now get to, so basically the camera comes in. No. And then we lose Kato. Hopefully he's on his way back. Yeah, what the hell, Mark? Well, I might have to redescribe it. exit itself out. All right, so you're just waiting for the restart. So basically, just the opening scene, as he is reconnecting, is basically the two ships, the Remembrance and the Poo-doo, make their way out of hyperspace and around Starport Neon. The scene is, it's actually not a ton of traffic around the starport. There's still a handful of fair amount of freighters, but there's not all the other corvettes, frigates, light cruisers, not any of the other big. None of any of the other big hut ships or rogue entity type ships that were around before. And kind of somewhat added into the mix of all of that is someone added into the mix of that, there's actually there's actually a handful of other debris that you don't remember being there before. Just a little bit, not like a pile of it, but there's definitely like another like cloud or blotch like on the other side of where the previous battle had been that you guys had been a part of with the huts and the Empire mostly. This one's a little smaller and it's more off to the side. And but you do catch that, and there's not too much traffic around the base. And let me get back to rolls 20. There we go. Yeah, so sorry, I got really brain farty there. But yeah, you see that it's not a lot of traffic, as much traffic. You actually get your usual spot for the Remembrance like really easily without like much pause or finagling or convincing or maneuvering and try, like all the stuff that comes. It's because it's basically like a parking lot at a shopping center, and when it comes to like space docking and whatnot. Usually this time it's not difficult at all. You just kind of get your spot and you just go right in. You get the Poo-doo back to where it was originally docked without any issue, where you originally picked it up, and again, so that we're not overly focused on who was piloting what ship, we'll just say you guys group back on the Remembrance, so we can cut in on any starting scene of when you guys have coupled together, because the trip from Narcoga to here was like 3 days or whatever. It's like one of those couple few days, but it's a relatively short trip. Pretty sure we've established a number of times, like, well, it depends on the role. Usually it's like 3 to 5 days, depending on how good the role goes, somewhere around, or 2 to 5 days. So we'll say it was like 3. And you guys manage to now group up, and it's just the 3 of you in kind of that little, couched lobby common area of the Remembrance. We're not gonna, it's not important. No, you're on the Remembrance. I kind of gave the narrative. We're just gonna skip, get you, and we're just saying you guys are on the Remembrance, and kind of you've docked. You're all grouped up. Yeah, Yeah, she's like probably like standing, like pacing, like anxiously, and it's just like, I want to know if my friends are free. I want to know if my friends are free. I want to know if my friends are free. I want to know if my friends are free. I want to know if my friends are free. Just like pacing back and forth between you guys on like the. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Um. Oh. Okay. Sorry. I thought you were trying to you missed what I was summarizing and no. Okay. Fair. Okay. What's the mm, I guess how and who are you looking to offload this to? Because it's not really a lot of scrap. Remember, because remember, you kind of exchange a bunch of scrap for one big scrap, basically, right? Because you know, did you? Okay. Fair. You didn't probably still didn't get much because the thing is, your cargo hold is stuffed of heavy turbo laser. Yeah, heavy turbo laser. So like that is the by large the bulk of what is fitting awkwardly in your hold. So there isn't a lot of other scrap per se, but sure. What's the yeah? So you have like a plan of who you're going to try and do it, like a earmark, or are you just going to put out like a general listing, kind of like what you did with the artifact? I don't think this place really has a security leader so much as because it's kind of got its two leaders, right? Like it's owned by one person and then kind of run by another, more or less. So it's owned by Captain Bravo, but Lady Zadal is the one that kind of does all the day to day, and you're the one that she'd be the one that everyone kind of sees regularly, that goes around and interacts and keeps the place. Like she's like, it's like the difference between like like an owner of a business and the CEO, I guess, is kind of the difference. You know what I mean? Uh, well, it's been a little bit since we had bring up some of the relationship stuff. Yeah, true. Um, yeah, it seems like it's an alliance or a business partnership that's mutually beneficial. So there's been that, but it never seems to have too much connotation above that, at least not from Lady Zadal. Captain Bravo, you seem to think that he has like an attraction to her. So he's probably, it's probably one of those type of deals. But it just seems like it's mostly a business relationship. Okay. Yeah. just just kind of hot jumble it up. Okay. Now, odd question. Seeing as it never really came up before, because this would have been like a session three to yeah, but has never really been asked. So it's ironic we're getting to it at the pretty much the end of the season. Completely inverted. What do you believe your relationship is with the leaders of Starport Neon? Probably it's going to be. I think not. Yeah, I think the number is not an issue. It's the but familiarity is important, right? In this context, right? Like, if you keep your head low, are you just a nobody essentially? Like, have you even really met him? Even like, where's that? All right, sure. All right, all right. So yeah, you get a calm. Takes a little bit. It's one of those, if it was like a phone call, it rings for almost as many times as you think would go to like a message collecting service before you get the hello. Yeah, one and only. Mace. Oh, that sounds familiar. Um, you hear him like snap his fingers in thought. He's like month and yeah, probably about a month and a half or so. Oh, you're the remembrance, eh? Oh, thanks for the help, dude. Much appreciated. Yeah, what's uh oh man, we could really use some extra help around here. You hear him like kind of groan from like some sort of like movement of some kind. Yeah, oh, yeah, things are getting a little rough around here. What do you have in mind, man? It's just a heavy turbo laser. I mean, it's from a Moncal Star Cruiser. I don't know if they have any other. Oh, all right. Oh man, right on. Now that's what I call a good scrap. What are you looking to do with it? There's kind of a pause. Yeah. Oh man, all right. I mean that yeah, that would be probably all right. And I think we have a bunch of them all shot out and whatnot. We can replace that and stuff. Have something for something ready maybe in time for the. How much do you want for it? Because you bought it for 22 grand, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, brand new. Yeah. uh, let's see your negotiation. Two purple. Man, already pouring them out to me. All right, cool. Well, I take offense to that. Calling me a scumlord, you. No, this is Star Wars, not scum and villainy. Yeah, so this is so yeah, you got a lot of blank surfaces on that on either side. That's a little bit of a rough roll. Hmm. We need to come up with them with a small advantage. Wouldn't be too bad. Maybe it doesn't like hold anything against you or anything for trying to come up with a terrible price. We need a triumph though. Ooh, what would you like for a triumph? Um, yeah, that was my first thought as too. Sorry. Yeah, I yeah. So I think instead the voice that comes back after a bit of a pause of thought is well man dude, that's a little on the pricey side. I don't know if the ladies are really gonna like that, but you know what? I think I heard something about some mercenary guys that are their ship's a little roughed up with some fight or something. So maybe you can like bring it over them. I think they're probably in pretty good need of it. You know they seem desperate enough last I stopped by. Uh, yeah, it's probably like some cover name that's like some flashy cover name for like mercenaries or bounty hunter types. It's probably like the the river or something. Oh, dude, but they're trying to get their ship up and running before things get bad. I mean, they might shell out, you know, times of need and stuff. All right, yeah, I'll work on it when I'm like you know awake and whatnot. All right, you know, good luck out there. Anything else you want from me? No, I can think of. All right, all right. And eventually, you know, after some sluggish work, you get some information back into the comm that you can be fed into the computer and whatnot. You have to communicate back and forth and whatnot to get it sent to the remembrance computer, but you get the information. The river. Okay. Any? I guess before we cut this in, do we have anything else happen on the remembrance before that little flashback, or do we now want to jump to that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, she's antsy. Yeah, she's definitely antsy. Is you know, it's hard to keep her sitting still, basically. Um, so you invite them over to the Poo-doo or the Remembrance. Okay, right. Okay, because the Poo-doo is a not it's not exactly next to you. It's you know a couple minutes walk trip around to another dock. Just so I'm making sure we're clear on whether you're focusing on showing them the merch or you know just the schmoozing part. So okay, so you show up. They are fairly standard. No, actually, they're hmm. This is what happened when. Sorry. I was thinking like I'm trying to think of like their thing because this is the fun of the narrative when things get more improv based. So I think they're like paramilitary looking fellas in terms of their garb. Like they have like vests and kind of a bandolier, not like strapped with bandoliers and belts and whatnot, but maybe like one with a couple of sets of key equipment. They got like their armored vest, all mostly black clothes and like like a shouldered comlink thing on there, like usually what would be a well, just like a radio thing, but for Star Wars it'd be more like a comlink style thing on one uh by this one shoulder. And I think the river, it comes in as like a Clatoonian, and he's got like maybe like a peppered of other relatively um tough looking folks with him, like a couple Gamorreans, like the pigmen, and maybe even a Wookiee in there looking pretty menacing. Not no real like slender, slim, athletic types are necessary. They're all like big mountains of power that are fairly well strapped. Um, and they're what shows up to it. Like his outfit, maybe as the leader, his paramilitary gear is looking more like it's got like the bluish tone color to all of his garb. He's probably not even wearing like a shirt or anything or tunic or anything like that underneath the vest. So he's just like basically just kind of all out, you know, muscle and armaments. Uh, yeah, and they're the basically what show up and give the knock on the, or unless you're waiting for them in the docking port when they come out the main doors. Yeah, they look around, they're suspicious and concerned, making sure that nothing's really odd is up, but it's just you guys by yourself. There's no other ship in the other side of the docking port. Like there had been in the past with the Black Sun ship and all that type of stuff. It's just you guys have free real estate, so they're looking around. They give a couple gestures, and the four of them kind of separate out from the river and kind of keep tabs around the environment, and they're posted at like corners of the port and whatnot. And then he himself just comes up alone to approach you guys. Have we met before? He's like, he looks at remembers. He goes, I don't see where you're storing a turbolaser. Well, I suppose you business types are gonna swindle me for all I got, because you've heard Bravo gave probably gave all the dirty little intel. We've had a bad scrap of fights, Public here, Empire there. Now one of our big guns is punctured out. And you guys happen to come along having just what we need. So, all right, let's get this on. You got some food? All right, let's go have a chow before we talk brass tacks. looking a little begrudging, like they're, they know they're not in the favorable position. They're not really enjoying this, so they're just kind of like, yeah, yeah, that's true. Eating food. If you want, it's your number. 23 is what you tried to get from Bravo. Yeah. Okay. You see him kind of calm his guys, and he's like, "It's a Moncal one. That fit on the ship. You think you can make that work?" Eventually, there's a kind of like a nervous voice, stuttering voice that comes through on the other side. That it should, sir. All right. All right. You got you. It's not bad. Um, let's see the charm check. Yeah. Yeah. How much? No, so to see. Yeah. So hmm. It's usually because it's a pose check, but I don't think he has particularly a lot of negotiation skills or anything. So probably just the two purple. I don't see him this type of character having um a high enough qualification to counter anything. So yeah, two purple, but you get a blue. Wow, how do you? He mulls it over. While you have your customer service smile on and whatnot. And he kind of comes, he goes, you're driving a really hard bargain, and man, you're driving a harder bargain than even when I really need it, even when shit's about to go down. I don't think I can shell out for something I can buy brand new somewhere else. If I take a detour back into hut space or somewhere else, I could probably still get it pretty straightforwardly. I just need to spend a couple extra days. You're making a tough bargain. I mean, you have the two advantage, so I think he just kind of goes, Now, how about just um I was thinking of whether this needs to be a roll from now. No, we'll do it. He goes, how about you cut all the extra headway you're adding onto the price and we just take it off of you as if it was new and none of us thinks the wiser. 20K. Sure. And oh yeah. Um but he does that. He goes when you say I'll take that, and he offers his hand, to confirm the deal, and he goes, do you do this kind of thing often? Do you normally sell turbo lasers? And he kind of turns his head up and what do you normally do? All right. Things are going to be a little rough out there for a little bit. Maybe we might have use for you. Lissy leans over. I don't think he's a goldfish. Actually, like studying him a little bit. Folks just call me the river. Let's just keep it focused on that. I happen to be really good at. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And he gets up from his meal, puts the half empty plate down, and is ready to be guided over by Nard. Right. Um, yeah, the walk over there is straightforward. He brings his men with him, obviously. You reach it to the Poo-doo and get into the cargo hold and assess it, and they're partly kind of surprised. Again, they've been very cautious and suspicious um the whole time, and so when you actually show up and like maybe like flip the lights on for the cargo hold, and there it is, just kind of semi crammed into the cargo hold, are the big guns of this Moncal heavy turbo laser, and they look between each other like, oh, son of a bitch, he actually had it. This is not like an ambush or something. So they're like looking at it as it's kind of, sitting there with all the assorted wiring and stuff still kind of dangling out of it, and rest of the assembly and whatnot. And yeah, they take you up on the offer and basically start coordinating and figuring out a way of getting things moved and installed. I mean, they'll at least take your aid for the maybe like the primary installation of setting it into the hull, but they'll mostly do the innards part once that's all set up on the ship. So you help out kind of 1/3 of the way. Okay. Any particular way you want to impress them? Right. Okay. Well, then we'll see the mechanics roll to see how impressive you are at it. Um. Hmm. Uh. Sorry. Bonuses for what? Because it's um. I don't know. I mean, depends on what you think would apply. I would say it's gonna be just like I. It's a little bit tricky getting it out, moving it over, getting it installed, and you want to do it quickly, which I think the quickly is the difficult part. So I think that's what makes it 3 purple. Yeah. Well, you don't have. You can at least roll successes. Um. So, so yeah, you do it very efficiently, and any other particular manner if you want to flavor anything of how you do it impressively aside from speed and just the quality of the work. But you manage to take the heavy turbo laser and the bits and pieces that go with it from the Poo-doo out into space for a short drift, and then over to their ship. And they've managed to, maybe in that time while you were getting things set up and you start moving it over, they had basically essentially cleaned out the area where their ruined turbo laser was, and get it clear for any like bit broken parts and stuff from the old one that obviously isn't going to be useful in any way, and get it all removed and just jettisoned out to the rest of space. And yeah, you get it slotted in. Sorry? For what, installing it? Oh, because it's that type of mechanic. Yeah. Trying to think what else the threat could be if it was something else. But I think it'll probably be all in the same idea of there's something a little off about the installation. Just depends on what it is. Um. Okay. The aim. Yeah. I think I'm making sure it's to the right narrative. So it's probably that when it first ends up getting fired, it'll be um dislodged a little bit, kind of. So like aiming, it's going to be kind of like they'll have to reconfigure it and kind of work around, especially like in that first battle when they start firing, they'll have to realize and then realign its targeting because it's not going to be set in quite right. um because it's not going to be the innards because you're not involved in the innards and how it's all hooked up to the power and stuff. So I can't do anything around that because that's not sensible and all that. So it's got to be about how it was set into the hard point essentially. Potentially, yeah. It very well could be symptomatic of a black die. Depends on if it becomes relative or relevant, but otherwise it'll have, yeah, it'll be a little um a twitching point of interaction because of because their first battle will be a little botched because of that laser will not be correct. But you'll do that. Sorry. Mm, okay. Yeah. 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 It will affect some future interactions and whatnot. They'll be a little terse. Maybe it'll affect the parameters of a job or something to not be quite as beneficial or something because they'll want a little bit back for the damages, not the damages, but because of the pain and suffering. Essentially, they'll call it. That's fine. May have to remind me of that if I forget about it because who knows how many sessions that'll be before we bring it up again. Considering we just had finally talked to Captain Bravo after 20 sessions. But that'll take some time, so that's gonna be a matter of hours. So we'll cut back to Kato and Lissy. You guys, I guess, go into the starport to assess the slave deal, or do you have any other detours you want to take? Eh, maybe. Yeah, his ship. Actually, they might not be that far apart in terms of size. Depends on. Uh, yeah. All right. Com or visit in person because they have a slave dealing shop in Starport Neon. This was all in person. I think you communicated before, but they have business. They have their business here. Okay. Yeah. You sure? Is that your final answer? All right. Start going through Starport Neon. Nard would have noticed a little bit of this, but you I think noticed it a fair bit more. Is that it's not too busy around here actually. It's actually pretty easy moving from spot to spot. Not a lot of bumping shoulders and squeezing through blobs and crowds of chatting people. And even when you get to like the promenade, big general area where all the shops and whatnot are, like there's like packing containers and stuff that you'll see in the shops, and some of them like outside that are sealed and whatnot. Some of the businesses seem like they're actually like getting ready to move. Some of them even have like, clearance sale on some items or whatever. And yeah, it's not as much buzz. There's not much hum of conversation and whatnot. A little bit, but it's a lot softer, a lot more sporadic. And yeah, you get through over to the slave selling shop and find what was his name again? Alson J. That's right. Alson J. I'm just going to need to wait for him to come back and we'll continue. But I can switch over to that. This guy, the Duros. Probably not with the goggles as much, though. Wait, what come in different colors? Yeah. Most sci-fi aliens have a color palette. Well, no, because I mean humans do too. Okay, you back? You good? Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. So as you go through in towards the promenade for the starport, you notice that there's not a whole lot of traffic. You don't have to bump shoulders or squeeze through groups of people that are, kind of huddled and grouped together. You even notice there's containers, like shipping, not shipping, sorry, like packing containers. And some of the businesses have these containers in them, and they're like, they're moving and packing up their stores, like a bunch of them, not all of them, but there's a good handful of them that are like packing up. They have like some, sales on, some kind of clearance sales, but at least some kind of just sale in general of like trying, these items, sale on these items must go type thing. Um, and it's kind of on the quiet side. I mean, you've never really seen Starport Neon quite like this. It's always been busy. There's always been hubbub. There's always been that like heavy, constant buzz of chattering and yelling, and you know, that sense of packed social hub nature. Whereas this is more like it's more like a mall in like the final hour or so before it closes for the night. No, it closes for the day. And yeah, so you find the slave selling shop. They're one of the ones that are like kind of packing up. No sale or anything posted, but they're packing. They seem to be packing up a lot of their their setup. So like even probably like the curtains that they normally have that go behind like the front counter leading to the back where they have kind of their demo room aren't even there. And you can even like kind of see the hallway that leads into the like the sparkly fluffed, demonstration room. And yeah, you're able to have a conversation with Elsa. I don't know if you want to do have the whole scene if it's important or anything in particular. Yeah, he's a little like the conversation is him being a little surprised. He's happy that the deal was made, and because he heard back from the Hut advisor, who I did since give a name. Because he'll probably quote the name when he says that he heard back from, and then the name. Um, LaFay. So he heard back from LaFay, which was the Deveronian that you met on Narshada. And he's like, yeah, he's a little surprised. There seemed to be no underhandedness. Everything was clean and straightforward. And yeah, sure enough, there was. He like informs you almost as if you didn't know, like that there was this deal, like as if I guess like maybe how LaFay communicated to him did it so in a way that wasn't fully transparent in a way, sort of. So like he's like telling you that like apparently Kirka was so happy that in exchange for like better business and you know um and even some upfront credits or whatnot, that these certain slaves that you're interested are just cleared out and they're paid for. But he says that as if you didn't know that or anything like that. Like it's just like you weren't part of that deal. He's just kind of like, hey, good news, blah 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 blah. So he's like, yeah, I followed as I was ordered. I'm not gonna turn a Hut down. We took the collars off them. They've been hanging around the bars the last couple days, waiting for pickup. And his face sinks a little bit. He's like, he really didn't want to have to let them, I got glad I got the proper dues out of it, but it's a shame to let them go. They were, great eye candy. They were great to have around, kept morale up, and now they're just, yeah. So there's that kind of terrible solemnness from him, but yeah. As soon as he said that they've been hanging out the bar because Lysik's with you, I'm presuming, and you you like maybe like glance over your shoulder to acknowledge her, and she's already like bolted out the door. What? What? You haven't heard? How long you been at hyperspace? You came all the way from. I mean, the trip should have only been a little bit. Where have you been? Like Nar Shaddaa is only like a week away. Yeah, I mean, we're right on the edge of hut space. The Republic showed up here a little bit ago. Actually, they showed up twice. They were after some band of misfits or criminals that had stolen something, and they got into a scrap outside. You probably saw a bunch of the debris and everything, and they were basically told to fuck off. And then, but like a couple days later, they another group showed up, and they ended up having a chat with Bravo and Zadal, and rebels. Another group of the Republic people. They showed up, and they got the foot in the door, and they're having this whole talk of potentially having Neon be kind of like a relay point for the Republic going forward. Somewhere that they can come in and rest up their heads and whatnot. And yeah, the surprise, surprise, the Huts got word of that, and there's going to be another big, like a real renegotiation to actually pound out the deal in a couple days, and it's 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 not going to go well. I mean, we know the Huts are going to show up and try to stop it, and that's going to turn into a. And he does like blaster fire hand gesture. I mean, some of us are getting the fuck out of here because like we're not going to stick around with Neon caught in the middle. What? What? Why? You just, he just left in kind of confusion and insult, just like what the fuck. Cool guys don't walk away from explosions. That's basically Kato right there. Throws the grenade in and then just walks away. Put the glasses on. Hyperspace shades. Dura shades. Well, I mean, where do you go next? You leave the shop. What's the next stop? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. For what little there is, yeah. Yeah, you probably get like a grand for it. All right, 1100. 21. Yeah, so you had 21,100. So you almost broke even from the 22,000 you spent on it to the Kessel jockeys. 900 in the hole. But yeah, you hear excited girl talk and whatnot as you pass one bar and you peer in and you see um Lissy like tackle hugging one of them, which since we're now on the thing, it's these the ladies down here. Um, Although I think there's like they probably see like a couple disgruntled guys who are maybe like they were like having like a conversation with the two, before Lissy came in and basically interrupted it. So like the couple of the guys get up and kind of all pissy and um well cock blocked essentially, and they're like trying to like shove like Lissy back and whatnot, and it's a little awkward moment for a little bit as they kind of like basically spit fire at each other for a little bit, and she's just kind of doing the whole, well, I haven't seen my friends in forever, go away, shoo. Does look the hand gesture. um and the guys get up in like her face for a little bit, like tower over her, well, not tower, but they stand over her, and then eventually kind of like scoff, huff, and turn and walk away. And the girls, hug and catch up on stuff. And like the two other women are like, trying to figure out what happened, because like Lissy never got to anywhere to them. They're just kind of like, we just ended up free, and then how did that happen? And then maybe that's when like Lissy like looks over and like points to you as you like are maybe coming into the bar, and it's just like, oh, my boss got you free. He worked out some like really cool special deal, and we got the whole thing clear. We got you set out. Got rid of those stupid collars around your neck. The Chist looks at you and regards you with her red eyes, and yes, we're doing quite well. Very much appreciate this very generous act that you've done in freeing us. Freeing us? And she looks like Lizzie, like, are we free, or are we now his? Looks to the pen. It's the two women are taken aback, and Leslie's just nodding along, like, see? He's mean sometimes, but he's actually usually a really good person. And like the two women are just like looking to each other, and there's a general sense of like actual, not confusion, but uncertainty, I guess, between them, because like it's very unexpected, and especially when that's the whole you can do whatever you want part, that they're just kind of like, what is it that we want to do? I don't know, I haven't been free since I've been a child. All I know is slavery. Looks over to the Pentoran and looks back to you. I'm all ears, Mr. Wom. Kato. Handsome name. Employees. So we get paid. What do you mean, one remaining crewmate? I'm still here too. Oh, we turning on Nard? Are we kicking him out? Is that how this is gonna go? You realize he's a really good cook. I don't think we should kick him out. That's kind of a bad idea. See, he's kind of mean sometimes and maybe a little bit dumb. Oh, we'll certainly make ourselves useful any way that we can. Very well. Certainly we'll do that. Thank you. Lissy nods rapidly. Thank you. I don't know how I'll ever repay such kindness. What? Oh, but you look like you were lost and thought I was giving you. Thought you were trying. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, she nods and looks like she was like about to give you like a hug, but then kind of feels like it's like awkward, sort of. So she kind of has like her arms out and then kind of just turns and the Pantoran just kind of seems to be pondering. He goes, I suppose now we can wear whatever we want now. Isn't that true? Oh, finally done with this terrible dress. And Lissy, because it's like, oh yeah, we can do all sorts of stuff. Well, maybe we'll get you some stuff on the way back. Place's got clearance sales. Let's go check some of the clothing stores or something. And the three of them kind of group of girls end up kind of sifting out. So yeah, any since there's still a bit of time to kill while Nard's still doing all the stuff with the turbolaser. So anything else that was on your to-do list? Because the scrap sold, so the Poo-doo is basically dealt with. Fair. Imagine that might still be a group. Is that still a group discussion, or are you feel settled in what the choice has been? You have two check marks. You have the armed transport and the TL. The TL is like a freighter. It's cargo stuff for the most part. Over here. Yeah, well, look at its encumbrance, 600. It's more for, it's got a lot of cargo space. Well, a lot relative. The armed one is more personnel. Yeah, it's weird. I've been actually trying to look at. Oh no, that was the CR90. I was looking at bridge, like ship layouts. The CR90, like there's so much inconsistency. It was hard to make headway on it. The medium transport. I think I did remember looking up some stuff on it. Um, but yeah, I think the idea is it just has, yeah, it has just a bunch of crew and doesn't have any like more single set quarters or stuff like that would be for passengers. So it's a little trickier on that part. But because it also has 850 encumbrance, because again, it's a like again almost more like a freighter. You know, it's yeah, it's on the cargo side without changes. Yeah, goes on. Is this compared to your current ship? Because yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, they don't have the speed or handling because they're not small, starfighter-ish, like closer to starfighters than other stuff. Like they are starting to get up into the bigger stuff, but that bigger stuff comes with more capacity for people or cargo or weapons and armor, because most of them also have a lot more hull trauma threshold and obviously weapons to deter. So it's the sacrifice, the lower. No, handling is like when you're trying to do highly maneuverable things or competing against something in a maneuver based stuff, that the minus means basically will start being black die, setback dice. Whereas if it was in a positive, you'd gain blue dice on the flip side. Yeah. Can't contest that. I mean, he's so the 9 to 9, eh? Yeah, time, money, resources. The problem is with the with the TL is that it's somewhat compared to some of the other ships, a little bit on the cheaper side, sort of. But the problem is it's been modified a lot that you're gonna have to undo, which is gonna take time and money, and then remodify it to something else because it's basically been it was like turned into like a kind, yeah, but it does still doesn't have a lot of it's luxury yacht for a small like for a limited amount of people. It's not meant it's as much as it has passenger uh capacity. It's like it's all for like someone who was like a leader basically, and it was like his like yacht. So it's like really Spartan in some areas, and then just all this luxury for bent around one person. But it's like it. I mean, it's not. I guess it's an argument. I guess it could be sort of to your flavor, but might not. It's more weapons, not as much handling. I think faster, and it's actually got yeah a little bit more actual room for passengers. I think, and then so yeah, it's yeah. Hard points. Yeah. Well, I mean, it comes with a lot that you may or may not have to modify much, though. Like it's already got a bunch of stuff that yeah, it's got the one hard point, but it's already got a bunch of weapons, which includes, I believe, missiles and ion weapons. On the I think it's the front turret there is the like their ion weapon. Um, it's the Mason Spectre way. Well, you guys can have a few moments to actually think about it because we are a little overdue for our break. So we'll go to take our 10 minutes. Stay tuned for more as we do the second half of, depending on how things go, possibly the last session of the season. Stay tuned. And we are back. Sorry for the little hang up on the end there. We were talking through the ship stuff. Still isn't sorted. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Second half of Star Wars Ashes, episode 20, about an hour, a little over an hour we'll have left here. So, I'm assuming you go back to the ship for the most part to at least continue anything further there. You go back to the Remembrance. The girls are kind of getting somewhat settled and looking around and getting organized with where stuff is, their bunks and whatnot. And Lissy doesn't let anybody take Mason's bunk, so it's kind of like they're arranging around different bunks around what's available and whatnot. Your captain's quarters are pointed out, whatnot. But at some point, I assume you kind of you check the usuals with the Remembrance, and there's a recent message from Heral. The message is basically that he's working on. He's like, "Hey, friend, I'm working on some new projects. Um, trying to get back into being an entrepreneur again since everything else hasn't really, panned out as we talked. Ha 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 ha. But I'm having a bit of issues sorting out this schematic. I know your friend there knows a lot, has a fair bit knowledge on it, and I'm wondering if you can give me some advice on, or he can sort out why this isn't working." And there's like a big file attachment that comes with the message. Not at the moment. He's still he, yeah, he's still working. This is the last hour or so that he's probably working with the river to get the turbolaser brought over. Mm-hmm. Like at a, a used ship dealer. Like all these ships are from the same spot. It's not You're not buying it from the owner. You're buying them from the person who's this company that's reselling them. No, the shipyard's somewhere else, which I haven't really thought of the actual location, but it's probably somewhere nearby, probably around Hut Space somewhere, like somewhere kind of in the ballpark of this region. Mm, I can't remember how much it was originally. Yeah. Well, I don't think you refueled since you were last year at Neon. So you did that whole last month all in one go. Probably, yep. Sounds about right. Oh, there. Wow. Wow. Okay. Drop a couple thousand and you can get the supplies. Um yeah, do you look at the schematic? So it's a schematic for a ship. It's about Corvette size, maybe just a little under. Um and the basically he has like it looks in theory it's supposed to look, and I'll show actually let me make sure I can show chat properly without all the extra stuff around it. And we'll get it over to oops. I can't copy and paste it properly. You guys, if you guys can see it on the stream. So it's for a ship that's supposed to end up looking like that, but obviously you're seeing the schematic version, so it's like just the lines and the mesh of inner and outer view and whatnot. But in particular, it's the schematic seems to be linking to issues with like power distribution and whatnot for all the like between everything from its core to its engines to the weapons to the rest of the systems in terms of getting everything sorted out. Like he has like scribbled arrows, scribbled digital arrows pointed on parts of the schematic as you see like the wireframe of it where he's having issues, and it's like all these measurements which you probably don't understand because I don't think your mechanics in particular is all that high, but like the numbers are just there's a bunch of them. They don't necessarily seem like he seems like there's some serious issues with the mechanical math that is just not equaling out properly. And the ship basically just doesn't seem like it actually would be able to. Well, it's either it's completely underpowered and doesn't have enough, which then it's kind of like, and there's maybe some like theories of like what they can do and if they can fit maybe a better core in there or like how they do it, what changes they would have to make around it, or it's the opposite and has too much power and then it's kind of like, well then how do we store that power or harness it? Or if there's, and then it's like it just kind of jumbles into like, like when you have an idea and you sit on it for a while and then you start like kind of convincing yourself there's bigger problems than there is, and then it's like you have like one little issue and then you kind of go mad with it, like your whiteboard just gets filled with information like, well, if this is the problem then I do this, and then this is the problem then I have to take this approach, and it's like you get kind of like so off the rails and caught up with stuff. I know you've been there. So it's like he's having that, but on the mechanical engineering side of things, because the engineering math and design isn't working out. The ship itself looks kind of decent, as you can see, like the theory of what it's supposed to look like. It seems like it's quite armored and everything, and armed, and reasonably spaced for stuff on the inside. And he has it labeled as like he's the name hasn't really come through. He's like has like three or four names that have been like crossed out on it and whatnot. So it doesn't seem like he's stuck on the name, but it's just basically at this point it's just kind of a blank class strike corvette. And that's what you're looking at. I don't think you would. I don't think there's a good way you would know either way. But it's not a design that's current. It is definitely something that is new from him, and yeah, you not. I don't think there'd be, unless you can explain to me how, maybe what you would be able to discern whether it's selling the ship or selling the design. But I don't think that's too much of a gray area to really figure out, even with a roll. Fair enough. Sure. Uh, so Nard, so you finish up your thing, you get the send off, and the river and his crew seem um pleased is probably a strong word, but they're respect you and are happy for the aid and help, and take it from there, and you're free to do your next step, which is okay. Yeah, you want to find out about what's happening with the what again? Just to be clear. Oh, yeah. What do you ask? Not so much. He's like, no. I mean, look how dead it is around here. I have a business, so I got money to make. This food doesn't store for that long. I mean, everyone's just up and bailing because they're afraid the place is gonna get stricken down and left adrift. Yeah, those rebel, republic-y, whatever they are, those guys, they want to use Neon as a safe spot. Like I don't know, if an outpost. And they don't want to take over. They're not coming here asking for rights or anything, but they want to have make sure their ships can be here safely. For we know what reasons. And the Huts are obviously not going to like that, and they're going to come in and try and disrupt this whole big deal that's supposed to be going down in a couple days. Well, everyone's flipped out their lid and making sure they're packed up and out because they don't want to be caught in the crossfire. Because Neon's like, I mean, Neon's barely got anything to it. I mean, it doesn't have support. I mean, we depended on the support of everybody who was unaffiliated with people. I mean, everybody was like that. I mean, like you didn't have to worry about the hut pressure and them bossing you around. You didn't have to worry about the law of the Imperials or the Republic. I mean, it was a great little paradise where we could just make sure we did our own shit, as long as you didn't go around beating people up or shooting people here on the promenade. No, they're gonna fight the Republic, but we're gonna be caught in the middle. I mean, we're like literally physically gonna be in the middle between two fleets or whatever they bring. That's what I've been telling people, but they don't believe me. They think this. I mean, I think Neon will come out of it and everything, but it's things are very chaotic and whatnot. I mean, and the thing is, whoever wins, they're pretty much going to lay down control of the place. They're not Bravo and all that's not going to be able to stand up to them. So whoever comes out with the win on this pretty much gets Neon. So I mean, some people are moving because they don't want to be. I mean, the slaver doesn't want to be under Republic law; he'd be out of business. Whereas no one want the actual normal fight clubs and stuff on there don't want to have to do it like the Huts do. I mean, Bulk Bogan just wants to have proper entertainment. He's not trying to kill any of his employees. Yeah, sure. Never thought of that way, but that's a good point. Where to next? Okay. So sure enough, there's a buttload of messages, and yeah. Um, what side do you deal with first, business or the personal? Mm, right. Well, we'll go with maybe for whatever reason you focus on the personal stuff. Um, there's a good handful of messages there, and at first it's just kind of you get a message that's just like maybe like a couple days from the last time you checked, and it's just kind of like reply to your last message, and it's happy and cheerful, and I'm so glad you're doing well out there. Thanks for the money you sent. I got it. That will help out. You sent like 1,000 or something a little bit ago when you got your first paycheck. Yeah, yeah. These are from your queen. The pleasure. Yeah, personal. Yeah, personal pleasure. Sorry, personal. So yeah, it's from her. So it's like glad you're doing well. Um, thanks for the money. Received well. Go into the family fund, or will help pay for things. Good. Maybe if you, I can't remember if you even said what the last message would have been about, because again it's also been a while for us out of character, so it's probably maybe like if there was any like lesser good news, it was like sorry to hear about blah 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 blah. That sounds about right. Yeah. Then it gets to a message that was like a week after that, and it's a little more like hope you're all right. Do you have any idea when the next pay when you're getting paid next? Then like the message after that, it's like another week, and it's probably like roughly every week sequentially. But then it's like then it starts third message starts to bring in that like um worry and whatnot that comes from her, where it's like are you okay? I haven't heard from you. What's going on? Are you sure things are fine? And then it's like the next message is, and it's like I know you when you were in the war and all, but I really need something back. Like, can you even get like a friend or something to send some sort of message to make sure I know that you're okay. I'm really getting worried. We haven't heard or seen anything or any money from you at all. Well, then it gets to like a message that's like a week ago, and it goes, the Empire was here. Ah, right on the punchline. Lost internet for a sec. All right, well, hope he comes back. Welcome back. What was the last part you heard? So I go back to the. What do you mean? Well, it's like a concern because it's like it starts to get to be the month, and it's just kind of like there's other body to the messages. I'm trying to just stick to the finer points. Like there's probably a lot of extra conversation or whatnot in it. I don't know what the I don't know. She seemed it's because I think before there was a reasonable flow. Yeah, there's probably I mean concern for you is still concern for the kids, but there's probably a bit of both. It's like they're a little worrisome, but they're still relatively normal, whatever that normal would fully constitute. Well, within a normal side, but it's on the worried side of the scale because there's been radio silence, right? Because you deal everything with this with dealing with it like a this hubbed pattern, right? But it's just and it centers around the hearing things of going stuff going on in the area, hope all is well, and it just kind of gradually just kind of a little less cheerful as basically as this radio silence goes on, and then it eventually gets to the Empire was here. They're looking to use the planet as they went around and are trying to use the planet as a resource and mostly as an outpost for something. A bunch of people are talking. They're because from what I understand of like the best list, they don't really have like a central government. They're almost like not clan based, but they're provincial, like state run. Like they're all like segmented in that way. Right. Well, big deal for your area. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Empire was here. They're looking to set up an outpost on the planet. There's been a there's been a lot of talks. Some are for, some are against. Not really sure what the best course is. If you could respond as soon as possible, otherwise, I'll probably just go in with the group that are against it because we don't want to have to deal with any danger or extra attention this brings since we're just essentially humble people, sort of, in your own way. And then the last message after that is there's a handful of casualties, but we managed to push them away. Then on the business side, it's all the usual like status reports, maintenance, all the stuff that goes with the workers unions, up and down, all over the place. Reports are probably what daily, every other day. Inventory, all the yeah, and then ends. Sorry, no, I right. Well, yeah, there was. So I was saying all the normal stuff from the like early in the last since the last time you commuted, and then as it gets to more recent, it does end up basically with a damage report for a bunch of the aspects of the workers union. Maybe even like you get messages from someone who normally doesn't communicate with you, like it's not like the normal whoever you maybe have that's kind of heading up things for you aside from your queen. Yeah, so it's like instead of like the normal COO, it's like somebody else whose name's attached to it, but as is labeled as COO essentially, but not a name you. Well, maybe you recognize it. Maybe like someone like that's like a few rungs down the ladder in terms of the management structure and administration structure. But that's basically how it is. Those are your messages. Okay. I think you can clear your, which one is it? I think it's family obligation. No, but the thing is only 10. So that wouldn't, it would only equal so much debt. And I think 50 grand would probably clear a bunch of that. Okay. If not, we'll have to chat about it after because the debt has to be something that was achievable. Living in luxury is still pretty vague. Um, so I think that would be achievable with 50,000. I mean, you could change it into a new obligation afterwards. There's nothing stopping that, but putting a bunch of your funds towards it is a right, right. So, anything else you do at the communication hub, or should be made noted? Okay. Return to the ship. Question mark. Okay. So you return to the ship. You see Lissy and her two friends chatting and in the social area, getting caught up on things. Lissy seems to be very much enjoying being a storyteller of things that have gone on for the last, at least the last month and a half with you guys, but also encompassing a bunch of stuff before then, as she's been like what she's been living and whatnot on Neon, while basically waiting to get in a chance to be a proper apprentice to Kato. But sure enough, you can meet up with Kato if you want. Pleasure, thank you. I am Mikoko, the just says, and then she gestures over to the Pantarin. And this is Kiza-cha. You have a quaint little ship here. It's still a respectable. It's respectable to be an important aspect of the crew. She's used the names interchangeably, it seems. This is whatever reason she's using the Spectre part. Is that recent? I take it. They We have a little bit in some areas. The ones that they, aside from the things they normally need slaves for. with a nod, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you. Uh, I'd yeah. You head over to the captain's quarter. Sure. Click. Sure. Yeah. Summarize the last part again. 'Cause I heard like yeah. I did hear that part. Okay, so I was just making sure I didn't miss anything. It's well, okay. Well, like so. I showed you like the what the ship would look like kind of finished. You didn't really get that in the message. It's kind of because I don't have a schematical version of that ship image. You got the wireframe and the schematical part of it. So, um, it's kind of tricky. I don't know if I'd quite say it was as if it was an artist that did it. It was just someone who, it's like someone who has like only like 1 point in mechanics and maybe just like an average intelligence, like to the, so it's like it's sort of, it has a basis of being correct. There's a lot of things that are fine about it. It's not like a Picasso painting as a mechanical blueprint, but it still has a lot of problems. So it's not like refined design, but it has a foundation that's reasonable. Mm, to fix the actual problem, I feel like for you would be like half an hour. If you want to do anything more than that and like solve any other issues, then we can roll for and put some time to the above and beyond. But like I think you know your stuff. That's why he's consulting you. You can do it, you know. Okay. Yeah, it seems like as you kind of sift through the schematic and whatnot, it's a it's a in terms of the crew amenities and layout for the crew, passengers, operational stuff, it's pretty Spartan, generally speaking. But again, the Remembrance is kind of in a similar boat as well in that terms of regard. Like there's no like full fledged quarters. It's mostly bunks and whatnot. Um, yeah. So like the crew stuff is all pretty Spartan and pretty compact and as efficient as possible. There's not a lot of extra amenities. There's probably a fairly basic common area for like lounge and whatnot, but kind of only as much as would seem to be needed because most of the ship is just packed full of like it's basically the idea is that it's like as much armaments and obviously defensive capability and then obviously all the other engines and all the stuff that comes with all that as possible to fit in with this ship of this size and it does seem to have like a bang for the buck model like design to it. Like he's trying to keep the dollar figure down while offering as much as possible on the combative side of things. Like it says it's got as many cannon, of these like medium turbo lasers as it can, and then the armor that keep all the systems hopefully as protected as possible while not being really pricey. Like you notice there's a couple areas where you can be like, oh, that could have been this material that this could have been made of, but then you're like, oh, but that's like 5 times the price per cubic meter or whatever. Right. I mean yeah, the sublight probably isn't great. I don't think it's terrible. It's just not stellar. It's got actually no, I kind of flipped that around. Its hyperdrive is actually not that great. Its hyperdrive engines are actually um pretty reduced on terms of how good they are. Like they're not like what is your ship has a class 1 hyperdrive for your primary engine. This ship probably actually only has like a 3 or 4. But its sublight is actually surprisingly maneuverable. Like it's actually got decent sublight maneuvering. It just can't do the long range very well or very quickly. Yeah, there's a little bit of disconnect that you think is there, at least without further input. But yeah, it's a fair evaluation. Okay. Including how it looks in that, or do you keep the same shape but just change all the schematical innards? Okay, so it still would look the same on the outside. You just rearrange. Okay. Okay. Sure enough, you do that. Um, okay, you do that. Um, I think you still have a fair bit of the day, depending on how long you think that would take you. You want to make it? You want to roll it? Yeah, we can make it a roll. Mechanics. Um, wow. Does that? What is the book called again for the shipwright one? I don't know. Not special modifications. It's maybe I don't have it. Do I not have the shipwright one? Lead by example. Stay on target. Friends like these. No, I'm missing. Well, I think there's a because the Age of Rebellion one for the engineer or whatever the class is actually called, or mechanic, whatever it is. They actually have some shipbuilding, crafting rules and stuff. I just thought I had that book though. It's too many books, bro. Okay, that you are. That's a lot better. Uh, yeah, it's not in special. It's in the other book. Hmm. Son of a bitch. Oh, it's not fully operational, is it? Engineers. There it is. It was fully operational. Derp. Let me see if that would have changed the difficulty. I don't think it would have. Vehicle and starship crafting 78. Frame. Uh, oh God. It's not a freighter. Corvette. Wow, only takes 20 days to make a Corvette frame. Uh, Passenger capacity 200. The default frame at least. Then you have to because you have to build it in pieces: the frame, engine, and the hull. So like I guess like basically how much how defended and how much trauma and stuff it can handle. So it's basically you do 3 rolls of 3 sets of difficulty to put it together. Roll. So it would change the roll a little bit. It would add 2 more purples. Um, so just roll. Yeah. Um, I mean we could just roll the 2 purple and just add whatever that takes out of your successes. So there's no advantage. Yeah. So you're able to do it. You come up with a schematic, and how it'll be laid out and the cost of it. You managed to actually do quite well on it. Compared to originally where having material price and whatnot equaling, on average, a normal job of a schematic of this would probably be like 500,000. You managed to get it down to a reasonable rate that it can, if this is going to be a mass-produced design, could probably turn a decent profit while being more in line with what you're saying. So less weapons, better engines, and but yeah, you craft that and you have that ready to go. Orem. Yeah. Okay. Ojo. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you're standing on it. All right, so you look for a job. So you said a smuggling job. Any other parameters? Have anything you're looking for in specific to narrow it down, or? Uh, yeah, give me a. So smuggling job would be not legitimate per se. So yeah, give me streetwise or computers, depending on if you how you think you approach that. We'll say two purple. I don't think getting towards the core, deep core, would be all that difficult because that's going in where there's density, population density, compared to going the other way around. Kind of. Okay. Yeah. A whole failure and a threat. Doesn't seem like there's too much attention of stuff people wanting to go down there, and maybe I guess with the threat, even it's like ironically not even a backhanded job of like you can't even find something that would be good to come out of there to come back out this way, even if you did it the opposite way and didn't take as much convenience, and but you still went to Nard's home and then you could do the job, do a job on the way out. Can't even really find something like that. It seems like the jobs are all it seems like the jobs are all from either they're all around hut space basically. They're like, it's all around from somewhere around like say um Rishi all the way up to like mm, looking at the up to Ocean? Ocean area. Like it's basically like the galactic southern part of of Hut space to like the galactic north, and it's all around that arc around Hut space. And there's a lot of traffic and stuff going in and around there, but there's not as much going to or from the cores. That there wasn't a job on the other way. So there wasn't a job there, which would have been super convenient. But there isn't even jobs that you can do that are the other way. So you could at least go there and still pick up something to do if you come back out this way, type of idea. Like at least you'd get something, but they're just the traffic to and from the deep core right now just isn't a thing. At least right now for smuggling, or they've already been taken. The listings are just barren. Like everyone's already jumped to. You're behind the day. um, I think we can. Well, we might need. Yeah, we might. We could have the conversation, but and we might do it. But I think that would be. We'll wrap that up part of the last bit of stuff for season 1 next week. If unless we need to, if there's anything to be importantly pointed, we could also just go over at a character real quick between the next week. But anyways, that will bring episode 20 to a close. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. If you like what we do, give a like or a follow. Sorry. Don't forget your Prime subs. Feel free to support us in doing what we do so we can continue to do it further. Should be one last episode, the wrap up season 1, and then we'll be good to go for a short break while we refill the crew and get going for season 2. All right. See you all next week.